Good afternoon. My name is Liz Vidal. I work with the State of Florida Deferred Compensation Program. I am the financial administrator, so I kind of oversee operations and investments. So hopefully if you have any specific questions, I've had a little dabbled in everything at Deferred Comp. Hopefully I can answer your question. I know it's been a long day of talking about the riveting subject of retirement, so I will try not to bore you guys. If I see your eyes glaze over, I'll try to move on. But definitely if you have questions, feel free to shout them out, raise your hand, whatever. And if I'm going too fast, slow me down. So, okay. Deferred comp. So kind of what is deferred comp? Deferred comp is a supplemental retirement savings for state employees, university system employees, that sort of thing. You know, you're mandated to do 3% out of your paycheck that goes to FRS, and at FRS you either choose the pension or the investment. Deferred comp is supplemental, optional, completely up to you what you want to do. It's just basically to help you supplement your regular state retirement and Social Security, assuming it's still there. So this is a little bit about our program. Our program has 90,000 plus members throughout the state of Florida. Those are mostly state employees and the university system employees, plus we have a few that are at special districts like fire control districts, that sort of thing. And so because we have such a large group, and also we have over $4 billion in assets, that makes our program pretty strong from a negotiating standpoint, which is why we can get great rates on investments and we can offer you a really great program. So what is it set to do? As I said, it's set to bridge your retirement savings gap. So if you look at this chart, about not quite 80% of your pay will be replaced between Social Security and your pension. So that leaves you, you know, a good 22% that's not made up. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I live on 100% of my pay. I mean, I save some for sure, deferred comp. But I don't, at the point that I'm in retirement, I've been working all these years, and I really want to relax and have a wonderful time. I don't want to have to worry about pinching pennies and trying to make ends meet just to pay my medical bills or to pay insurance or whatever. So this is to try to help you save money now so that in the future you have a way of, you know, having a better lifestyle, really. So, just to tell you a little about different kind of supplemental savings options, because most people aren't necessarily familiar with deferred comp, we're 457B. Now, people have heard of 401k. That's just where it's at in the IRS code. If you look in the whole giant tome of IRS law, you look for clause 401k, you'll find out what kind of investment you've heard of. So we're in the 457B part of the IRS code. 401ks, usually those are private sector. 403Bs, those are education. People who have access, a lot of people at state might, if you work for Department of Education or university, you might have access to a 403B and a 457B. Those two do not affect each other. So if you are in education and you do a 403B, you can still do the limit of 403B and the 457B. So just FYI if that applies to you. Traditional IRA people are familiar with, you can go buy one of those on your own. Those can be, I think, pre or post-tax. And then 457B is us, deferred comp. That is a savings option that is only available to public employees and some charitable organizations, even though the state of Florida plan doesn't cover that. What we cover is state employees, university system employees, and some special districts. And then you have other options, post-tax retirement savings, Roth IRA. That's a really great product that a lot of people are wondering about. We hope to get one eventually in our program. That's post-tax investment. And then you have, of course, other options. You can invest on your own. You might open a self-directed brokerage account that you have coming out of your paycheck. You can save money in a bank and get in a savings account probably 1% or less on your money. You can do a CD, which, you know, locks up your money, but you get a little bit better rate than a savings account. There's a lot of options, and I don't mean to downplay some of these other options because the point is save something, you know. Okay, I feel like I'm breathing in here. Okay, can you hear that? Okay, so what can you do with deferred comp? You can consolidate retirement accounts. So if you were in the private sector and you had a 401k and you want to start saving here, you can move your 401k in. Those are mostly pre-tax, so as long as it's pre-tax, we can accept it. One of the big conveniences for people who may not be going all the way to retirement age, this may or may not apply to you guys, is tax-free withdrawal at any age. I'm sorry, penalty-free taxed withdrawals at any age. So you put your money in deferred comp, it's pre-tax. When you take it out, that's when you pay the taxes. So, but the advantage is that no matter what age you are when you leave employment, if you're 25, if you're 35, no matter what age, 31 days later you can access your funds. There's no penalty. There's no 10% plus taxes. It doesn't matter. The only qualification to get money out of deferred comp is you term from service for 31 days. So that's convenient for a lot of people who, we've had people who are younger who maybe wanted to move to another state. They'll leave employment, take their deferred comp out, and use that as their nest egg to get started. So the point is there's no age penalty. So that is appealing to a lot of things. Now, on the other side of that, so I want to be clear because I get phone calls from people all the time. You cannot say, yeah, I'm still working, but I'm 59 and a half. Can I take the money out? No. You got a term from service. There are certain conditions you can get your money out, but I don't want to make you think this is like a traditional savings account where you can just go and put money in, take it out anytime. This is for retirement or really termination from service. Okay, so we don't have administrative or commission fees. We're very clear on our fees at Deferred Comp. We run our bureau off money that the investment companies pay us, but the way that you guys are charged for your account is every single investment has a certain expense ratio. So a certain percentage of what you make on your investment, the company's going to get. And we lay that all out in our quarterly performance report so you can see any investment, you can see what the returns on average have been over time, and this is what you're going to be charged. We express it in a percentage. We express it in dollars per thousand. I have some quarterly performance reports if anybody just really wants to read that. I'd be happy to break it down for you too. So as I said, the other thing, start, stop, and increase at any time. Well, maybe I didn't say that, but I'm saying it now. So the point is, you can do this any time of year. It's not just during open enrollment. It's not just a certain period after you're hired. Any time of the year, you can decide to start an account. You can keep your account and stop deferring. You can increase, you can decrease, you can do whatever you want to your account. And the reason is because it is not a mandated account. It is a optional account. So you basically control that account. And investment options. I think at this point we have 80 plus mutual funds. There's target date funds, which is the default investment. I don't know if you guys know what a target date fund is, but it's basically targeted to when you retire. So when you're far from retirement, it's going to be probably more aggressive in the market, trying to make higher returns. As you get closer and closer in your career to retirement, it's going to be much more conservative. Keep your money safer. You're not going to make as much money, but it's safer. So they specifically manage those funds to try to target when you will retire. There are fixed accounts, and that's sort of similar to a savings account. You put your money in. It's backed by the financial security of the company. Your principal does not go up and down. The money you put in, you just get a fixed rate of return. We have everything from, I think, 2% up to 3.5%. So it just depends on which company you go with for a fixed account. Okay, so deferral limits. And these have actually gone up for 2020. So if you're under 50 and you just put money in, it's $19,000 is the most you can put in every year. If you're over 50, it's 25. And if you go into what's called standard catch-up, it's 38,000. And next year, it's 19,500, 26, and 39, just FYI. Why do these limits matter to you? Mostly because you can only put in that amount of money a year, and that includes both how it might relate to your retirement. That includes both the money that you have come out of your paycheck every time, plus it includes if you have like a leave payout and you decide to put it into deferred comp, that is part of your annual limit. So say you have $10,000 over the whole year come out of your paycheck, and then you get a leave payout of, $15,000. As long as you're over 50, you could do that 25. If you're younger than 50, you could do only up to 19. So it's just basically the IRS limits how much you can put back because, of course, whatever you put back, you're not paying taxes on, and they want their money. So, and then standard catch-up, that's another thing that a lot of people use, especially closer to retirement, because it is one of those things. Over the entire span of your career at the state of Florida, you have qualified to be in deferred comp. Now, whether you're actually enrolled or not doesn't matter. The point is you have qualified the entire time. So what we do is when you get within 3 years of being retirement age, where you qualify for unreduced retirement benefits, you can do this catch-up provision, which basically lets you go. For all those years that you didn't use deferred comp, you have built up this little pocket of availability, of money that you didn't use, that you could have put away. So there's a 3-year period that you can decide, and especially people do this towards the end of their career, let me put extra money in deferred comp, more than the normal amount, and that way I can catch up with previous years when I didn't save as much. So that's what standard catch-up is. And some people enroll only in standard catch-up only to put their leave payout in, because maybe it ends up being more than the $25,000. And some people just towards the end of their career, they maybe have other retirements come in and they just want to put more money away. Sure. Uh-huh. If you put in 19 from your paycheck and you get the most you could put in was 6. If you're the 50 plus catch up is 25. The standard catch up, you have to be within 3 years of qualifying for unreduced retirement benefits. There's like a calculation they do because unreduced retirement benefits is based on your years of service plus your age, right? So some people who started at 18 and are special risk, they may qualify for retirement at 51 or 52. So they could do that 3 years before that. But other people who are, started their 30 years late may not qualify till they're much older. So if you have a question about if you qualify for standard catch-up, the best thing to do is call our office. And what we can do is look up what your deferred comp little availability is from all your years of service, so we can tell you how much you have available. And then we can also look up and see, do you qualify within the age / service limit. Okay, so this is just an illustration to let you know the more you save, the sooner you save it, the more your funds will grow. And you guys, I'm sure, have heard of compounding interest with having to do with banks. It's the same theory. Like if you start putting money in sooner and you put it in investments over time, the more money you can put in, the faster you can do it. Your money grows, and then that money that you've made grows with your money, and then it continues to grow, so it snowballs. So the more that you can put in, the faster you can do it, the sooner you do it, and the investments you choose will all have to do with what your investment outcome will be. So I've already talked a little bit about this. I'm not going to belabor the point, but there are 2 different kinds of catch-up. 50 plus, you don't have to do anything. If you're over 50, you join deferred comp, you're in 50 plus catch-up. For standard catch-up, you have to do an application. So if you want to see if you qualify, just call our office. We can look that up for you. Like I said, some people use it their last few years of service. Some people use it only for a leave payout. A lot of different reasons. A lot of different people use it. But the point is, and the thing I forgot to add is standard catch-up is only a 3-year period. You can only use it once your entire employment. It's for a 3-year period in 3 consecutive years, and it's up to that 38 or 39 next year every year. And if the limit goes up during your 3-year period, like you started this year, where it's 38, and next year the limit goes to 39, it doesn't matter, you go to 39. So, yes. You mean for the unreduced retirement benefit qualification? So drop is technically retirement. So if you qualify for drop, then you qualify for senior catch-up. 3 years before that, you qualify. Okay. I think this may have the entire, is this the entire slideshow here? I don't know, I'm just guessing. Oh, this is not the deferred comp. If not, okay, I could certainly send you a copy of the slideshow if you'd like me to email it to you. I can give you my card. Yes, ma'am. No, that's when you qualify. You can do it anytime. The only time you can't do it is when you're 70.5 years old. When you turn 70.5, the government says, no more, can you save extra money? Now you need to start taking money. So when you're 70.5, you no longer qualify. But from the time that you qualify, so 3 years before you qualify for unreduced retirement benefits, you qualify for standard catch-up. From that time until you're 70.5, you can do it anytime. Right, anytime, up till 70.5. And it probably depends on if you're hired, like with 27, obviously you are hired before 2011, but the calculation is slightly different if you were hired after 2011 because they changed the number of years of service and they changed the age. So that's why if you really want to know if you qualify, call us and we can do the calculation for you. I can't do it here in my head. I'm good, but I'm not that good. Okay. She had her hand up first. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It has to do the calculation of when you qualify for unreduced retirement benefits is based on your age and years of service. So it's based on both. So it's basically the first time you qualify is 3 years before you could take total full retirement, not reduced at all. The 3 years before you are eligible to take full retirement, you can start then. You don't have to start then. You can do it any time, any 3 year period between that and when you turn 70 and a half. When you turn 70 and a half, you can't do it anymore. Yes, because you were getting a state paycheck. But on that same token, so as long as you're getting a state paycheck, you can put money in. You can't put money in out of your pension, only out of a state paycheck. If you leave employment and you come back, it doesn't matter. If you have a state paycheck, you can put money in, or a university system paycheck. If you move to a university, you still qualify because we handle the state universities. So on that same token, when you go into drop, that is not considered termination from service, even though you're retired. So don't call us 31 days after you go and drop and say, I want to get my money out, because it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It is so it's a termination of service no matter what age you are, no matter what proximity to retirement. So I just want to be clear about that, because that's probably the number one thing, and I understand it's your money. Number one call we get is, I can't get my money out, or I want to get my money out. So I just want to be clear. This is a great program, but just like everyone else, we have rules we have to follow, and that's one of the rules. You have to have a 31-day break from service. Okay? Yes, sir. Right. There's no penalty, period. There's never a penalty with the 457B. You have to have a 31-day break from service to be considered separated officially under IRS and state law. To be considered completely separated, you have to have a 31-day break from service. So if you leave employment at wherever you're at now and you're off of state of Florida employment for 2 weeks and then you go back to employment, you don't qualify. If you, however, leave and you're off a month and then you go back, you do qualify. We have people who leave employment, may get a job somewhere else, come back to employment a couple years later. Now, technically, the money that was in the first pool, they can take the money out because they had a 31-day break from service. If they start contributing again, that money has to kind of be kept separate, and the companies do that behind the scenes, so you don't have to worry about the accounting. They do it behind the scenes so that they know that you qualify for this first period because you have a 31-day break. Second period, you're putting money in, you don't qualify to take that money out, so you have another 31-day break. But basically, the only penalty, which is not a penalty, is taxes. And whenever you take a withdrawal, and I think this goes into this more later, but they will withhold 20% to go towards your tax liability. Kind of like how they withhold now, probably 14, 15% out of your paycheck. It's sent to the federal government. You know, you get a W-4. Yeah, W-2. You get a W-2 at the end of the year, and you use that to file your taxes. It's the same way once you take a distribution from deferred comp. They take 20%, send it to the IRS, send you a 1099, you file your taxes. If you overpaid, you get some of that back. If you underpaid, you may have to pay more in. So, any other questions? Okay, so investment providers. Now, if any of you are familiar with deferred comp, for a long time we've had 5 investment providers. I'm sure may or may not have heard that 2 of them are going away. Now we are down to 3 investment providers, and those are Nationwide. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. Nationwide is on your side. AIG, which is a very big company, and some people refer to it as VALIC. VALIC is just a subsidiary of AIG. They've gone back and forth with the name. They are stuck on AIG now, at least for the next couple of weeks, I think. And then Voya, which used to be known as ING. Voya is just a subsidiary of ING, and they branded their retirement here in the United States as Voya instead of ING, but it's the same company. They're a subsidiary. So all big companies you've probably heard of, AIG, ING, and Nationwide. And then you have the option of the self-directed brokerage account with Charles Schwab. If you like to do your own online trading, that is a great vehicle for you. If you want to do that, you go through Nationwide, and they basically funnel your money into a Charles Schwab account. Now, Schwab is the one thing within our program. There's some extra fees, but we disclose those also on our quarterly performance report. There's usually a trading fee, and I think there's an annual fee that you have to pay. So once again, all disclosed on our quarterly performance report. So what type of investments are there? I talked to us about this a little bit. The fixed account, very popular product with state employees. Your money is safe. It's not FDIC insured like a bank account. But when I say safe, it's backed by the financial strength of the company, and they are required by contract to keep a certain amount of assets in reserve to cover the funds that are in those fixed accounts. So the fixed account, your principal goes in, doesn't go up and down. You just get a fixed rate of return every quarter. Well, similar. So T. Rowe Price used to have what's called stable value funds, but we had them switched all to fixed. I guess it's slightly different in the way it's invested, I think, behind the scenes. But basically, it's a very similar product. No, I don't think there's any redemption. I think there are a few investments within our program, but they're mutual funds that have a redemption fee that if you try to take them out too soon to discourage, the trading and everything. But no, there's no early redemption fee for those. Mutual funds, we get a lot. We have everything from stuff that is real estate based. We have things that are sustainable. If you're really into, the sustainable type investments, we have those. We have things that invest in large companies. We have things that invest in small companies. We have lots of different mutual funds. And I know people see investment and they're like, oh gosh, it's like too much to look at. I don't understand the things. So I will say, and I did bring some if you guys want to see them, and it's also on our website, some quarterly performance reports. Now, let me tell you, it looks intimidating, but it's really not. I came out of art school 11 years ago, started at Deferred Comp. I started by reading this. I knew nothing about investment. So here 10, 11 years later, I'm overseeing the investment analysis. And that shouldn't scare you because I know a lot more now than I did then. But the point is, if you're ever interested in this document, we give lots of different definitions in the front. There's more definitions in the back. And then this is the meat of it, which is every page, every one of our companies, this is AIG, it lists every single mutual fund that they offer. It gives you their 1, 3, 5, and 10-year return on average. And that's, of course, quarterly. That may change. And then it gives you the cost of the fund is the last two columns, expressed both in percentage and in dollars per thousand. So it is readable, and it is something that, if you're really interested in learning about what what's going to happen with your money, I mean, it's worth taking the time to read this, and definitely call us if you have questions. I have more of these if anybody wants to get any of these afterwards, or it's posted on our website. Okay, and then we talked about target date funds, just targeted to when you retire. That is our default fund because a lot of people want to put money away, but they don't want to think about where it's going. So we chose target date funds to try to have some a little bit more actively managed, but still something that is easy for people. Oh, I'm be 65 in 2045, so I'm in the 2045 fund, that sort of thing. So it's just basically a little bit more actively managed, but at the same time, it's something that's simple. Okay, so this shows this is the second quarter. We do actually have updated third quarter numbers. This is third quarter, and you want to see the target date updated numbers. But as you can see, what you look for is your year of birth. I just going to out myself here. I'm in the 2040 fund. So what you do is you look in 2040, you look for your year of birth at the top. I'm in 2040. And then you can see, on average, that these are the 5-year rates of return. This is net of fees. So anytime you look at any of these funds in this, when you're seeing these returns here, that's after this money has already been taken out. So this is always net of fees when you're looking at your returns. So if I was choosing based on target date fund, and if you go online and do the easy enrollment, or even if you look in this, you'll see I believe this one also has the third quarter numbers. You'll see that, and a lot of people choose based on who's giving me the highest rate of return. So for me, I would probably choose Nationwide. But that isn't necessarily the only way to choose. And let me say, you don't even have to choose. If you want to have all three companies, you can. If you want to put $15 in per paycheck and have $5 going to each company, you can totally do that. If you want to put, this much money into Nationwide, and I want this in the fixed, and I want to go over here to AIG, and I want this particular large cap fund, and then I want over here at Voya, I want, a target date. You can totally do that. This just gives you an option. Because like I said, a lot of people, when they see investment, they're like, and then they don't take action. We want you to take action. We're trying to make it easy. Here's your birth year. Here's the 5-year average rate of returns. And you want to do 5 years because you don't want anything as long as 10, but because, that's a little bit long to look at the period of return, but you don't want anything as short as 1 or 3 because that may not show their choice over time. So we use 5 because 5 is a little bit longer term, but it's not so long term that it's outdated kind of thing. So the point is we're trying to give you enough information to at least get started, but you're not trapped in this. You can make changes any time of the year. You can choose investments, and you can choose a lot of different options. Okay, so drop. That's the biggest thing I'm sure you guys have questions about besides the leave payouts. If you want to, once you leave employment, I know you have to do something with your drop, and deferred comp is an option for your drop. So you don't have to roll all of it in. You can just roll part of it in. If you want to, you can choose, send me $10,000, send the rest to deferred comp. It's totally up to you what you decide to do with your drop, but deferred comp is an option. The biggest thing for that is, you want to join, even if you only join deferred comp to put your leave payout in or to put your drop money in, just make sure you do it before you leave employment. So once you've left employment, you can't really open a deferred comp account. You have to be, an employee to open a deferred comp account. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Your FRS investment plan? Yes. Yes, you can. Absolutely. And another thing, and this kind of is on the same topic, is you can use your deferred comp to buy into pension. So if you have that one-time election, change throughout your career, if you're in the investment plan and you want to go to the pension, you can use what you've saved in deferred comp to buy into the pension, because usually it's a pretty high number for most people. So if you've saved enough, then you can use that money and it doesn't have to come out of your pocket. So just FYI on that. No, because this is a rollover in and not a deferral. So the deferral limits are what comes out of your paycheck and your leave payout, which is considered a paycheck. Rollovers, which is an outside account that's coming in, not subject to limits. You can roll as much money in as you want. Yep. So once again, you have the option of rolling your drop in either all or in part. It's completely up to you what you want to do. Just make sure you open an account sometime before you leave employment. We do have people who join deferred comp just to do a leave payout or just to do their drop money. When you join deferred comp, if you do it on our website, it will ask you how much do you want to start putting in every paycheck. So if you just plan to open an account just to put leave in or to put drop in and you don't want money coming out of your paycheck, the better option would probably be either call us to get you an actual enrollment form that doesn't require you to input an amount, or to contact the company directly, say if you wanted to go with Nationwide or AIG or Voya. Contact them directly and say, I want to open an account just to do that. So you're not even though you go on our website, it looks like, you have to start putting money on your paycheck. You don't have to. I mean, you can enroll just to have an account open so that you can later move money in. So this is a form. I don't do these drop seminars very often. I'm not as familiar with these drop forms, but apparently this is the form that you guys will see when you are leaving drop, that you can choose where you want the money to go. The direct rollover is what you would do for deferred comp, and you can see where you could put a certain amount that you want to go in. And that's where the partial comes in, I guess, as opposed to the full direct rollover. So as you can see, I'm not an expert on this one form, but I do know a lot about deferred comp overall. I'm sure I could figure this out. So y'all have questions, still feel free to ask me, and I will certainly try to help you out. Plus, this is in our form. This is a drop form, so just FYI. So, and as you can see, we are printed on the form for your convenience. So, yeah, definitely if you want to make these changes. And we do have people in our office who see these forms all the time, and they could be probably even more of a subject matter expert. So, once again, we have an office of 14 people, and we all answer phones all day long. So, we're very customer service oriented, and if I don't know the answer to your question, somebody else will. So, please feel free to call us anytime. So accrued leave, that's another thing I talked about. This is subject to the annual limits. You can put in as much or as little as you want of your accrued leave. The biggest thing with accrued leave is people don't expect, you get that payout and you're like, I got a nice little chunk of change. And sometimes people get it in drop or coming out of drop or leaving employment, whatever. But you don't think about the taxes. Because the year that you take that accrued leave payout, that's considered income. So if you're making $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year, whatever, and you get a $25,000 leave payout. Good for you for saving your leave, but the tax man's going to hit you. So that's the thing you want to think about. With deferred comp, yes, a lot of people think Roth is great because you're paying taxes now and not in the future when we don't know what the tax rate's going to be. But you also have to think about it from a standpoint of where you're at in your career. When you're working for the state, you're considered in your high earning years. Granted, we're all working for the state, may not be high earning, but the point is, right now you're earning the most money, right? So when you're retired, you're going to be getting a lot less income. Would you rather pay taxes now based on what you're making every year, or would you rather pay taxes in the future when you're not making as much money and your tax rate's a lot lower? So yes, it is, and a Roth's not a bad product. You know, if you guys want to go open one on your own, we don't have one in our program yet, but we hope to get one. But the point is, save something, and deferred comp's a great vehicle. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. 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 So let me half answer that question. Whatever you put into deferred comp is not taxed. So it's taxed for Social Security Medicare, but it's not taxed for federal withholding. So deferred comp is where you're sheltering it federal withholding tax, right? So the other half of, does it still count towards your highest five? My suspicion is yes, it still counts, even if you defer it, because you still got paid that money. But I don't 100% know, so I don't want to mislead you. So I can check into that, and if you want to, I can give you my card. Okay, great. Okay, well, there you go. Oh yes, my suspicions were confirmed. So thank you. I learned something today. So yeah, right. We don't care when you send it to us. You can send it. We have people who do. Yep. Yeah, we're not limited. Like, you know how number of hours by the state you only get paid a certain number of hours. We don't. If you're having a leave payout and you want to send it to us, we'll take it. The only limitation, like I said, is that you got to have the availability. So if you put $25,000 in the whole year, you may want to consider standard catch up, because if you want to put that leave payout in, you're already at the limit. You can't do that. So that's the only thing I'll say is the limitation is that there's annual limits. So the most you can put in this whole year out of your paycheck, out of your leave payout, is $25,000 if you're over 50, $38,000 if you're in standard catch up. That's the only limitation. Okay, so distribution options. So once you leave and you're ready to get your money out, you don't have to take it all out. You can leave it in as long as you want, or until you turn 70 and a half. When you turn 70 and a half, the government says, I want to start getting my tax money. So you have to take what's called a required minimum distribution. It's based on your age, and it's based on your account balance. And luckily, the company does the calculation for you. So once again, you don't have to worry about the math. But you do have to report it at the point that you take it. So if you're not working when you're 70 and a half, let me put it that way, because if you're still working when you're 70 and a half, once again, you can shelter your income. You don't have to take it. Once you're 70 and a half, if you're working, you can take money. That's the one time when you're employed that you can take money, but you don't have to. But once you leave employment, if you're 70 and a half, you have to start taking that required minimum distribution. Other than that, you can leave your money in as long as you want. And once again, it's not your full account balance. You have to take 70 and a half, just that required minimum distribution. So if you leave employment, you want to take your money out 31 days later, you can take the whole thing. If you want to call up and say, I'd like to take $2,000 this month, and then you call us another month or two down the line and want to take another $2,000, you can do that. That's called a partial. Or you can combine them. So you could say, I want to take $2,000 out now. I want you to send me $500 every month from here on out. That's a periodic. So you got lots of different options on how you can take your payout. Some people take annual payouts, some take quarterly. It just depends on what you want to do. And the last one is rolling your money out. So if you say you leave employment and you go to another employer and you have a 401k or a 457b or some other pre-tax vehicle, and you want to roll your money to that so that you can keep your accounts together, you can absolutely do that. It's a rollover out. Once again, same thing, 31 days after you leave, you can roll the money out, take the money out, leave it alone, take it out over time, whatever you want to do. The one thing I'll caution you about that, always check when you're moving out to an outside account, ask about the fees. Always try to get the full disclosure up front what you're going to pay, because you'll find sometimes our investments are going to be cheaper. Once again, because we're a $4 billion program that represents 90,000 people. So they tend to listen when we say we want to have some negotiation on prices. Nope. The only thing I'll say to that is that unclaimed property requires us at a certain point to report accounts that have had no, like if we've had a lot of return, we actually put it out to the companies, let the companies do it. But if you abandon your account at a certain point, I think it's like 5 years, they're required to report that to unclaimed property. But hopefully nobody forgets they have money in deferred comp. But yeah, so there's no minimum balance. We have people who have $5 in their account. I mean, as long as you keep it, and that's what we tell people too. When you're rolling it out, if you think you might ever want to bring it back, don't take the full roll out of your account. Because if you've left employment and you roll your money out, the whole entire thing, your account's closed. You can't come back unless you go back to employment. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Are you working? Well, yeah, but most likely your inheritance is probably not pre-tax. Your inheritance is probably after tax. And so, yeah, so if you have a pre-tax, so what we tell people, like I've had people who call before and say, I got an inheritance this year, can I put it in deferred comp? And I have to say, no, unfortunately, that's post-tax money, you can't put it in deferred comp. But let me tell you what you can do. You can take your paycheck and you can have 80% taken out of your paycheck and you can live on your inheritance. So you're still putting the money away, but you're a little bit playing the shell game because now you're living on the inheritance, you're putting the money out of your paycheck. Since it has to come out of your paycheck, it has to be pre-tax, that's the only way you can do that. No, not for the purposes of putting money into deferred comp. Yeah. But while you're in drop, I mean, you're getting a state paycheck, so that's, yeah. But once you termed, you can't put money in unless you roll it in from an outside pre-tax. Okay, so beneficiary designation. If you do currently have an account, you should always review your beneficiaries. It's very important. There are certain rules around deferred comp and who can get the account and who can't. So, and that just, let me not say who can't, because that makes it sound like we're making rules about where you can leave your money. But there are certain rules around where you have to designate beneficiaries, and it's not automatically your spouse. Like if you don't designate a beneficiary, that doesn't mean your spouse automatically gets it. It means your estate's going to get it, which means they have to set up an estate to get access to those funds. So the biggest thing is, I mean, you want to control where your money goes. So if you have a deferred comp account, set up your beneficiaries, update your beneficiaries, check everything out, and also any other changes you make. So if you have deferred comp and you go from a monthly paid agency to a biweekly paid agency, you go from the state to a university, don't automatically assume we're getting a feed from people first because we're not. You need to give us a call and let us know, hey, I was monthly and now I'm biweekly. So we can change it in our system so your deferral follows you. And the same thing with your address, anything else, you need to call us and update it. Or your investment company. Okay. And you can, as I said, have multiple beneficiaries. You can set up primaries. You can set up multiple primaries. You can set up contingents. There's a lot of different options. So this is our website, myfloridadeferredcomp.com. On there's a lot of information. There's a way to enroll on our website, the little flip-flops. And you can increase with the little starfish. There's a lot of information. You'll see stuff out there now about our transition that's happening where we're going down to 3 companies. You may see that if you go out there. But you can email us from that website. You can do a lot of things from that website. There's frequently asked questions that I put out over here. Those are on our website as well. Our quarterly performance report on our website. The easy enrollment form is basically the easy enrollment button. And that is apparently the end of what I have to say. So do you guys have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yay. So if you stopped having money come out of your paycheck, did you take all your money out? Okay, then you still have an open account. So at the point that you, okay, good. So at the point that you stop deferrals, you could just call our office. We can get you restarted. The biggest question that you need to think about before you call is, has your pay cycle changed, or have you gone from being paid by the state to being paid by university? So those things we would need to know. But yeah, if none of that's changed, then just call us up and say, hey, I want to, or you can hit that increase now button, and we will, what we do is we get that through a secure portal, and we'll go and look up your account and say, okay, she's with Nationwide, and she will put her, whatever you say you want to do. So yeah. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. So that's kind of a, I'm a T. Rowe Price person, long term. I actually have all 5 companies because I work for the plan and I'm a manager, so I kind of am obligated to have them all. Plus, they're all great companies. So the people who are in Empower now or in T. Rowe Price now, if you did not make a active choice by October 31st, then your account will default to Nationwide. Now, the good news for T. Rowe Price people is that the entire investment lineup from T. Rowe Price is moving to Nationwide. So as you saw in that the quarterly chart that I showed you a little while ago with the performance report, it said Nationwide, and then it said T. Rowe Price target date funds. So Nationwide's already carrying the target date funds that were at T. Rowe. Instead of, they used to have TIA CREF. They've moved to T. Rowe Price funds because they're great funds. And the entire investments at T. Rowe Price move into Nationwide. So whatever you have at T. Rowe, it's basically a handshake agreement. Your money won't even be cashed out and rebought. It's just basically moving from the T. Rowe Price platform to the Nationwide platform. Same investments. You'll just get a statement from Nationwide, but it'll still list the same T. Rowe Price investment. And also, for anybody who's at Nationwide, the T. Rowe Price investments, because they're moving over, they will open up to everyone, I believe in December, at the latest January. They have some great investments. You should definitely check out T. Rowe. So if you're interested in T. Rowe Price investments, you're already at Nationwide, you can also invest in those. I think there's a couple that are limited, but for the most part, the entire investment lineup of T. Rowe Price will be available at Nationwide soon. Any other questions? So it's the same company. They changed their name. Yep. Yeah, Valak is a subsidiary of AIG, so they just changed their name. I don't know if you guys remember the financial crisis in 2008, and AIG got a bailout. They changed their name to Valak. Now they're going back to AIG. So it's the same company. They're just, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, you can. So it's not the same as an accrued leave because accrued leave is a paycheck, so it's subject to those rules, those annual limits. But your drop money is a completely separate investment. It's a 401a. You just roll it in like any other rollover. If you rolled from a 401k, a traditional IRA, anything that's pre-tax, you can roll in, and drop does count as pre-tax. What's that? No, as long as it's rolled in, it's still tax deferred. It's still not considered income until you cash it out. At the point you cash it out, that's when it becomes income. Yeah. When you're talking about when you get your drop payout, that's always when you leave drop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to do something to your drop money. Like you can't just leave it at FRS. Or at the drop program. You're forced to make a choice when you leave employment. You've got to do something with your drop. You can take the payout, but once again, then it becomes income at the point that you take a payout. But if you move it to deferred comp, you're not cashing it out. It's still tax deferred. It's still in an investment, and it does not count as income that year because it's still in a pre-tax account. That's the thought. So you're not making as much money. Hopefully, you're in a lower tax bracket, and so you should not pay as much taxes because you're in a lower tax bracket. I will say the one thing is some people who retire early before, because the drop does have the age penalty, 59 and a half. So I tell people sometimes, I've had a few questions about this. Oh, well, what if I leave at 57 or 58? I can't touch my drop money. Can I move it into deferred comp and then get that money because you don't have a limit? The investments are always subject to the rules of the original investment. So if you roll your drop money in as a 401a, the company still knows it's a 401a. They accepted the money. They have to keep those rules. So what I tell people is if you know you're going to retire before 59 and a half and you don't want to touch your drop money, have some money in your deferred comp because 457B funds, whatever you put out of your paycheck, your leave payout, whatever, those funds don't have the age penalty. Drop funds, even if you move them in, there's still that age penalty. So it's like the shell game once again. Make sure you're using the right money so you're not paying the least amount of taxes. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I have some cards if anyone wants, to contact me later. And then, like I said, there's enrollment forms here. Feel free to, if you want to fill them out today and give them to me, that's fine. I'll be here for a few more minutes. And if not, then please feel free to go to our website, give me a call, give our office a call. We're here to help you.